Hi, I'm Craig Cameron, and on today's show, spinning. You know, the spin is such a dramatic and beautiful maneuver, and it's not as hard to teach as you might think. I'm going to show you some techniques to develop it, and I'm going to show you some, I bet, that you've never seen before. That's all coming up next on Ride Smart. We're going to talk about the spin on today's show, and you know, it all goes back to fundamentals. And if you'll take your time, you're going to find that you can develop a pretty nice turnaround on almost any horse. You know, and we go back to those basics and fundamentals. You know, we talk about that a lot, and I hope you never get tired of listening to it, because great horsemanship is founded on basics, foundation, and fundamentals. And what is that? That's flexibility, position, and control. Always remember, flexibility gives you position, position always gives you control. And you want to control the whole horse. That's going to be important in these turnarounds. That's going to be head, neck, shoulder, rib cage, hind quarter, right down to those feet. So, you know, the spin, where does the spin come from anyway? You know, it comes from the old canter pirouette from the old days, and they still use it a lot in English or dressage moves. And, you know, it was developed for battle. We all know that the history of the horse is all military, and they'd get these horses to turn around in one place so they could fight on all sides. And I always keep saying that's a pretty good incentive to put a spin on your horse so that you don't get a spear in your back. So today we use sort of a different type spin in our reining maneuvers, but you know, sometimes the Charles use a different style spin, sometimes the English is a little different style. There's all different styles, and what we're looking for is the horse to plant their hind pivot foot, and in other words, if they're spinning to the left, they're going to pivot on the left hind, push off with the right hand, and then the left front has cadence. In other words, they're going to reach out to the left, cross over to the right. And what is cadence? That's just a series of steps of equal timing and of equal distance. That's what we're looking to develop, and like anything else in horsemanship, you're going to have to develop it slow. So all the time, I want to check my horse and get this horse soft here. Just make sure that's always in place, because that's what's going to be able to give me control of my horse, just like so. And remember, although I'm going to move the hindquarters now, and you don't want it to move on the spin, it's important that you're able to control this horse. So I'm always pushing that hindquarter around like this, but watch when I straighten the neck, I want to be able to push the front end across just like this. And remember, everything we're doing, if we're going to do something with our hands, to be sure and do something with our legs. So you want to make sure that all these things are in place for you to start trying to develop your turnaround. Now, like everything else, I can't stress to you how much and how important it is that in the beginning that you go slow. Hey, you're not going to just get some kind of super fast turnaround in the get-go. So just think about it that like everything else and everything that's worthwhile, it's going to take a little bit of time to develop. So watch, here's a good way to start it. And this is how you're going to start your turnaround, like so. Just get to where you can walk like little 10-foot circles. And you know, riding 10-foot circles is one of my favorite things to do on a horse anyway. So I just get to where I can ride this perfect little circle. And do not overbend your horse. You hear me say that a lot. Don't overbend your horse in the spin. So when I'm riding this circle and I want it perfect, I want to just get it just enough where I can see that left eye. And if I could get this mare to just keep going forward and keep going forward just like this. Remember, we can use that flexibility exercise to position our horse, be able to take the nose and tip it to the right while we're traveling to the left, so that we can slowly begin to control her shoulders if and when we need to, just like so. So I'm walking forward like this. Watch, and I'll change directions, go right across the middle of my little trail and travel the other way. And recognize I'm starting out by just walking this horse. This is a good exercise anywhere, anytime for any horse to just walk little bitty forward movement circles. And remember, this is a circle here, you know, and to try and keep your horse as straight as you can. If you can't keep this horse in a perfect circle, put a cone right in the middle and then stay the same distance away from that cone all the time. Watch, I'm going to come across the middle of my perfect circle and I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to take this little mare right into a little trot and still try to make this perfect circle, just like so. I want to hold her in that trot. Watch, I'm going to keep her straight with my outside rein. A lot of times I like to lift the inside rein, keep her straight with the outside rein, and that outside rein is also going to keep me from overbending this horse. Now watch, if I can make this circle small enough, look what begins to happen. The front end begins to travel a greater distance than the hind end. Watch, the back feet are making a smaller circle than the front feet, and I'm driving her forward. And I'm waiting for her to kind of shoulder in. In other words, to reach across with that right front. And watch, a lot of times I'll just stop them here and just see if I can push them a time or two like this, real slow with my right foot, my right rein, and then I'll drive her forward again, like so, right back into the circle, going the other way. You couldn't probably ride enough of these really small little bitty circles. So my right hand is up, I push her over with that outside rein, keep her straight with that outside rein just like this, and start making that circle smaller and smaller with forward movement. I want to just keep her going forward. My job is to drive her forward. Drive her forward. Sometimes I'll use both feet to do this. Drive her forward. When I feel her kind of getting good where I want, I'll just stop her, move my hands forward, and push her to the right real slow, right leg off, left leg on, maybe just a step or two like this, and then drive her forward again. And this is how I'm going to keep my mare correct as well, as I just work with her and develop her real slow, real sure, as I get her better and better as I go to work. You know, we did our show on lateral movement. And bear in mind, that's going to help you in your turnarounds. So anytime my mare is feeling stiff or anything like that, you know, a lot of times I'll just move her sideways to get her real soft and getting her off the what? Off of this leg like this. And the straighter I keep her neck, remember we talked about that, then the more advanced she's becoming. Because when I move her sideways like this, remember that turnaround is just going to become half of that. Or as I just want that front end moving instead of the hind end. So all these little things to get your horse better and better. So boy, I got my circle right here. You can see where I've been working. Now I might work right over here. Now I'm going to just step right over here and offer it to my horse again, just like this little bitty forward movement circle. And I'm driving her forward. Look how perfect my little circle is. I can't stress to you how much this is going to be the foundation for your turnaround. Here, make that circle smaller, keep her going, keep her driving her forward. And as she starts to shoulder in, just pick up real slow, turn her around, and always in with forward movement. Come right back to that forward movement, and that's what's going to help her to drive forward, because when she makes that spin, you don't want her stepping behind. You want her to reach out and across, not behind, which that's what's forced them to start hopping many times. So make that circle smaller. When I feel her shoulder in, just pick up and go real slow. Left leg on, right leg off, left rein on, right rein off, and always in with forward movement, just like so. That's going to be the foundation for your turnaround. When we come back, I'm going to get some cones out, and we're going to really get into it and get this horse advancing further and further, and it's going to enable you to develop that good spin or turnaround. Your tag tip for today, the Hollywood or bank robber knot. You know, the more knots you know, the better horseman and the better cowboy you are. And this is a really good one. I'm going to show you how it works. You know, anytime I'm tying my horse, I like a good slick lead line like this Craig Cameron 12-foot lead, because I don't use cotton with the ridges because it's hard to tie and it's certainly hard to get undone. But here's the way it works. Here's my horse on this end. Here's the rest of my lead. Double your rope like so. Here's the horse. Here's the excess, and you can tie it around any kind of tie rack. Doesn't have to be just like this one. Double it up, bring it through. Now, I go around, and you can go around as many times as you want. That changes nothing. Now, here's my horse. Come over here and capture my horse, pull it through, make a loop, and pull it down. Remember, every knot, you got to pull them down, and you can certainly daisy chain this one if you want to. Now, the advantage of this knot is that when I pull it loose, there's going to be nothing around this post, thus the name bank robber knot, so that you could get out of there in a hurry, just like this, and you're gone. Hey, that's fun stuff, and don't forget, the more knots you know, the better hand you're going to be. That's your tack tip for today. Don't forget to keep riding smart.
And now back to Ride Smart with Craig Cameron.
All right, we're going to develop this turnaround. Now I've got some visual aids for you that's going to really help you. They help me. I bet they're going to help you too. So what I did is just make a box. It's not too big and it's certainly not too little. Matter of fact, I'd recommend that you have it a little big than a little bit small. And so now this time when I start developing my circle, boy, I got a place to really be and really start turning my horse around a little bit. So now I'm in the box. And I just make this little box and I drive my horse forward. And the key is going to be forward movement. Remember, the spin doesn't have anything to do with going backwards. And I think that would be maybe the most classic mistake people make when they're trying to develop the turnaround. Is they get to pulling those horses backwards. Me, I'm driving mine forward. So watch me drive my mare forward in the box. Here, drive her forward. Here, drive her forward. And little by little, I'm going to develop this turnaround on my horse. So I drive her forward. Remember, I want that front end traveling a greater distance than the hind end. I don't want to overbend this horse. Here, I don't want to get too radical with my cues, but when I'm ready, I'm going to pick up on that outside rein and just push my mare around. Pushing her with my right foot, but one thing you want to remember, watch my right foot. I don't use it all the time. I'm pushing with that outside rein, but if I wanted to speed her up, watch me touch her with that right foot. Boom, just like that. And save that for your speed, which is going to come later. Watch me end with that forward movement. So I'm slowly developing some good stuff with my horse. And it's no big deal if you run into the cones, but if you're running into them a lot, you just need to make your square bigger. If I kept running into these cones, I'd just get off and move those cones out wider till I could make it a little bit smaller. So one thing also the cones are helping me to do is not drift. You don't want your horses drifting in the turnaround, so it helps your horse as well. So watch, we'd go to that trot, and watch me, I'm using my feet and driving this mare forward. Real important here that you do not lean to the inside. Don't lean to the inside. Drive her forward. Drive her forward. Get it, that thing smaller, smaller, and she's collected, which will help my turnaround. When she shoulders in, I just guide her to the left. Push with my left rein. Push with the left rein. Guide her with the right rein. Bump with that outside foot when I feel like I need to. Here, just bring her around and watch me end with that forward movement. I always kind of end with the forward movement when I'm teaching my horse. So I'm just going slow here and getting a step at a time. One thing I might recommend to you is don't overdo it with your horse. A lot of guys tend to get something going, then they kind of overdo it with these horses and things get, they create a problem. Get some good turnarounds and then leave it be, because you know what? You always got tomorrow to go to. So things tend to get better. And so this visual aid here will help you a whole lot with your horses. You know, when I start getting my horses going, I definitely want to boot my horses up. I want to put some kind of protective boot on my horse because, boy, they're going to be reaching out, crossing over, and if they're hitting themselves or bumping themselves or if they're hurting themselves, then they don't want to do it. So, boy, when you get into your performance work, don't forget to protect those legs. So, boy, this really helps me, but I'm still just going slow with my horse, letting her learn how to do it before I ever try to do the good and ever try to do the fast. I just take my time with my horse. Now, I'm going to show you something that really helps you as well. This will be a good one for you here. And sometimes I'll just get a little corner. You see, I've opened this gate, and now I got a corner to work in. So if I really want to start developing something with my horse, when I want to go faster, what I'm going to do is to drive her right now as she goes into the corner. So I'll start with my circle here, walking forward, and I'll start driving her into that circle, driving her into that corner. So watch as I start bringing her around, watch me push her in that corner and push her in that corner. Watch me drive her from behind and say, drive her from behind and push her into that corner and push her into that corner and push her into that corner and push her into that corner. And then I might end by driving forward here. And just get a little something going, and don't forget to stop and reward this horse. But here's another spot that's going to help me what? Stay in the same place. You don't want to get these horses drifting. You don't want to start here and end up over there. So that's going to help me a lot too. So I'm going to go back there and start with my circle and go the opposite direction. But as I'm developing this, I'm driving into the corner. Boy, if I feel like I need it. So here, I'll start with my circle. Here, get going something here, get something going. Ride forward, don't lean, don't overbend. Drive that mare forward. Now pick her up and turn her and drive her into the corner. 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 And now let her stop, just like that. And boy, pretty quick, she's going to learn to get better. And remember, in the beginning, now I'm showing you how it works, but don't forget to go slow. And sometimes you may just want to get a turnaround that's what? Just a step or two, or maybe even a half a turn, and then walk forward just like this and start those little circles again. Sometimes I'll come over here and just use a single cone to develop that perfect circle. And so I'm not gonna think about spinning because my cone's in the way, but I can certainly make a nice tight circle here and drive my mare forward. I might even go to that trot just around this thing here, being very careful that I stay centered up, not leaning. And you see how that mare wants to bring that left front. Boy, she's really developing something here, really developing something here. Good, that looked good to me. And allow her to find her way around the front end, around that hind end. Boy, this is fun stuff if you do it right. Now I'm going to show you one more. Now this is going to make sure that my horse is staying in the same spot when I start my turnaround. I want to just get positioned here and see if I end here. I'm not saying I'm going to, but boy, this is going to give me a pretty good dial on that for sure. Another good visual aid. Remember, when I start my spin, I move my hand up forward like this as a cue, and I'm going to drive my horse forward into the turnaround. And I'm going to start here and go slow and just try to develop the turnaround. Develop the turnaround and go slow. If I wanted to speed her up, watch. Here, I drive her forward, drive her forward, drive her forward, drive her forward, and try to stop almost where I started. Hey, wasn't perfect, but it certainly wasn't bad. I'm gonna try it one more time here. Go forward as I start my turnaround, and just keep my hands up forward, not too much outside leg, and let this mare find her way. Don't overbend her, real slow, and whoa. Just like so. So that time I did move off a little bit, and that's just something that I simply want to be aware of. You know, a lot of people have trouble with these horses not engaging that hind end or holding that pivot foot. I'm going to leave you with one other little exercise that'll help them find that stationary pivot foot. So what you can do is you can do a couple of turns to the left and then immediately reverse it and go the other way. And those horses, a lot of times, they'll really stab that pivot foot and hold it in the ground. So I'm gonna go a couple times around, real slow, couple times around. Now just reverse, boom, here, and just make her hold that pivot foot here. And just bring that mare around. Here, good, good, just like that. So sometimes when you reverse it, you can get these horses to help themselves. So, you know, I want to stick with the fundamentals and not try to get this mare going too fast. Boy, she feels good. My new Craig Cameron saddle feels good. This is a nice little saddle I developed, real basic saddle. So everything's working real good for me this morning on my mare. And, you know, I'm just developing it on this horse, you know, taking my time. And if I could tell you anything that I would want you to remember, it would be to go slow, develop that foundation, and allow your horse to learn what it is that you want and what it is that you don't want. Craig Cameron Horsemanship clinics at the Double Horn Ranch are designed to fit each rider's individual needs. 5 different round pens, corrals, arenas, and the original extreme cowboy race course make great horses and riders.
I learned more in 3 days than I have the first 35 years I rode a horse.
It was like having a private lesson. Even though it was a group, it was like having a private lesson.
Yeah, you'll wear out the Wrangler in your jeans, I tell you.
Advance your horsemanship and come ride like a champion with me at the Double Horn Ranch. Today's show, all about the spin. Started with simple circles, which was basics and fundamentals. After that, we moved to a good visual aid, developed our box, gave our horse someplace to go, and we picked up the tempo a little bit as she was learning to place those feet. After that, we used our gait to drive her into the corner, hold our position, and we used those cones quite a few times. If you take your time, I think you're going to have good luck developing a great spin with your horse.